Hi beautiful, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm so excited to finally try the Juno Co Microfibre Velvet Sponge. I have been looking for this sponge for ages. Actually, since Nikki Tutorials reviewed it, I was trying to order it from Amazon. The price of the actual product is very inexpensive, but the shipping to New Zealand, it's like almost $30, which is unbelievable. So when I made a recent trip to Mecca Cosmetica, I saw that they were finally stocking this, and I purchased this from a Mecca Maxima store, and this was $10 New Zealand, which I thought is still pretty cheap. I usually use Beauty Blender or this sponge right here, which I purchased from Kmart. This Microfibre Velvet Sponge is a unique game-changing makeup sponge that features a tapered design for precision blending and a flat bottom for a more ergonomic and natural looking all-over application. So here is the packaging. So in the packaging you get the actual sponge, which again describes as a game-changing tool. So it has the slanted side and then the rounded side and then a flat bottom, and with the packaging it comes a pamphlet, which I'm guessing is the instruction. You could actually use this sponge right here both wet and dry. For dry applications, this is great for loose powders, blush and highlighters. Wet is to apply concealers, liquid foundations and contouring, and it also tells you how to clean the sponge. So when you clean the sponge, you have to run it under warm water to loosen the trapped product. It creates a lather using a gentle soap, and then you squeeze it until the product is out. So it's pretty much the same as how you clean the normal sponge. I picked up two foundations that I use for day to day. So these two has got the best long wearing power, especially if I work 12-hour shifts. But the difference is that this has more of a light to medium coverage on my skin tone at least, or skin type, and the Fenty one has got more of a medium to full coverage. They both have that somewhat liquidy consistency, which I'll be interested to look at for. And also the sponge claims to give like a very full coverage straight away because it's microfiber. It doesn't soak up a lot of product. And for concealer, I picked up this Revolution Conceal and Define. I find that this concealer, even though it's a good concealer, it doesn't really cover my dark circles, especially like on this area right here. I have a very deep, very dark circles, so I'll be interested to see if this will actually be full coverage using this sponge. So I have a huge cup here of water, and we're just gonna dump the sponge. So before we do that, here is the sponge. This is fully dry, and I am going to just submerge this in water, squeeze it out a bit. The sponge has definitely increased in size, so this is what it looks like. It feels very squishy, though it has that towel consistency. You know, when you wet your towel or face cloth, it does have that roughness to it, but in terms of like squishiness, it's pretty much the same as a beauty sponge. Like there's no tug or resistance to it. It doesn't feel damp. It feels somewhat wet but dry at the same time. I don't know. I think it's just the microfiber, because as you guys all know, microfiber soaks up water and it dries up pretty quick, but it doesn't seem to have a lot of water deposit in it. So I've already primed my face with my usual primer, and I am going to first apply this matte waterproof foundation, and I have this shade NC42, and I'm going to apply that on this side of my face. And this side of my face is not too bad compared to this side. This side has got a lot of like breakouts and stuff, so I typically like to dot my foundation. Maybe we'll use this rounded side to apply the foundation. So here we go. I'm so excited. Did you guys see that? My face is covered. All the scarring is full on covered, because usually when I apply this foundation I would have like scarring peeking through, but damn. And it blends the foundation very well. It doesn't leave any marks or anything like that, and it doesn't feel rough whatsoever. If you look at the sponge, the product is basically sitting on top. It doesn't get absorbed like this one right here, where you can see like the staining of the product is pretty much gathered on the areas where you use to stipple the foundation. Whereas this one right here, I could pretty much still keep going, and it covered a little bit of that redness on my chin area and that pimple right there. My pores is very refined on this area right here. It doesn't look cakey. It doesn't look like I have a ton of foundation on. It feels very lightweight as well. Usually if I use this foundation, I would build it to about 2.5 layers to get this kind of coverage. Ooh, that's impressive. So now on this side right here, I am going to use this Fenty Beauty Pro Filter foundation. And as you can see, this side is somewhat the worst side because I have a lot of scarring. So I'm actually interested if that could fully cover, because like this foundation right here has got a full coverage. If I have stubborn scars, I find that I have to build it up to about 1.5 layers of foundation, mainly focusing it on the scars. So again, I'm going to use the same side. And it's fully covered. This is insane. Wow. Like that there was pretty red, and now it's gone. As you can see, like my scarring is very intense, so that is a solid like full-on coverage. I could use a little bit around the cheek area, mainly because I didn't put a lot of foundation compared to this side, but oh my god, I'm actually mind blown. And it doesn't even feel like super heavy. It looks like I have a lot of makeup on, but honestly I put the thinnest amount of foundation. For concealer today, I am going to use the Revolution, and this one doesn't have a lot of coverage, and usually it like highlights the inner part of my eye. So I'm going to try maybe half of my face to see how it will work. So I'm going to use the flat side. Oh my god, it's very full coverage. I forgot that this sponge makes everything full coverage and I put a little bit too much. This under eye is pretty much freaking covered. I cannot even tell you or even like express you the words right now because I'm just in awe. I'll try that much. It's so bizarre. So I'm going to try that much because obviously on this side I put a little bit too much. Actually not a little bit, I put way too much. So I will try with that much. Even with only that much, it's already like extremely full coverage. It still has a little bit of dark circles, but it's pretty much covered. So I'm just gonna put maybe that much just to cover like the deep set of the bags and kind of evening out the sides. And you know what's funny, because this sponge was very damp, and as I was using it, it feels like dry, but it still has a little bit of moisture to it, which I find pretty strange. My face definitely looks very fully covered, and it surprisingly looks matte. Definitely tell that oily skin girls would love this. And use the Coty Airspun Loose Face Powder, which I love. So I'm not gonna do like any cream contouring or anything like that. I just want to try out the sponge. So I'm going to pick it up on that flat side. and I'm not going to bake, I'll basically set my entire face with this. So this sponge picks up the powder and it applies it pretty evenly. As you can see, it kind of acted like a powder puff as opposed to like you using a beauty sponge, because usually what I find is that beauty sponge, if it's damp and if you apply powder, it kind of cakes up on certain areas of the face, whereas this one right here doesn't. It deposits the product and it applies it like a powder puff, so you could pretty much just roll it on your face and it creates a very flawless canvas. As you can see, like if you compare this side right here, which is not set to this side, it feels like a doll's skin and it picks up a lot of product. Like, as you can see, so flawless. Like, this is the most flawless I've seen my face in like forever, because I don't bake. I usually don't use puff, and oh, I'm just overwhelmed right now. Like, I could not think of a con about this beauty sponge. I know I have seen like reviews and stuff, and I actually am quite skeptical about that, but I finally tried it and I can assure you that this is probably by far the best sponge that I've tried. If you are wanting to get like a full-on coverage out of your foundation, I would highly suggest this sponge. This is only $10. It's very cheap. It's cheaper than a beauty blender, which usually costs almost $40 here in New Zealand. I unfortunately cannot try this on applying cream blushes or contouring, because I personally don't cream contour all the time, and I'm not a fan of cream blushes. But we will try this on powder, because as what the instruction says, this sponge can be used for powders. So what I am going to do is to actually use this side right here and apply my bronzer. So I'm going to pick up probably that much. That's probably quite a lot, but and I will just tap this around this area. I've already bronzed my face, and what I did was just tapping the bronzer, and that instantly created a very nice natural bronze look. And it snatched my nose too. I am honestly sold with this sponge. So now what I'm going to do is to apply my blush, and I'm going to pick up this one right here from Too Faced. And see, it picks up a lot of product, so I'm going to just dab it on this area right here going backwards. And then I am going to use this side right here to kind of smooth it out a little bit. Voila! You're pretty much good to go. I may have put a little bit too much of the blush, but what you can do is to actually flip the sponge over and kind of just blend everything. And honestly, it applied the blush a lot better than using a brush, and it looks more natural and precise. The last thing that I'm going to use this for is for highlight. So I am going to use this side right here and pick up this shade. Actually, I'll pick up this shade right here as my highlight. So it picked up a lot of product, and what I'm going to do is to just dab it again. Wow. That created a very blinding highlight. Is there anything this sponge can't do? Overall, my final thoughts, I do actually really love this sponge. I feel like if you're a frequent traveler or a jet setter, and if you are wanting to really concise your makeup tools, just narrow it down to this sponge, because honestly, I feel like you could even apply your eyeshadow with this sponge and it will still perform just as great. I pretty much did my whole face using one sponge. I applied the powder, contour, blush, and highlight, and as you can see, it actually looks so much better than when I apply my face products with a brush. I think the reason being is that I don't buff away anything that I put on my face. I pretty much press it in, and so it creates a more natural finish and it deposits a lot of the pigment, as opposed to me like brushing it off with a brush, because tendencies are it will just fluff off, and also I don't get the intensity that I want. And it's actually easy to clean up your mess. Just pick like a side which is clean, dab a little bit of translucent powder, and you're good to go. You could even use the side right here, the flat edge, to clean up the liner or actually like blend your eyeshadows a little bit. And for the price, honestly, $10 is worth it. So that's pretty much my take on the microfiber velvet sponge. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you get updated for whenever I upload next, and I will catch you on my next video. Bye.